friends, welcome back to my channel SciTech. In today's video, to do the 120 FPS gameplay support test between both phones, which are Realme X7 Max and the iQOO 7 device. You can see, friends, finally it is a video for you all. The reason why I'm excited because the iQOO 7 will support the 120 FPS gameplay without any problem, because I do know about this device because I did plenty of 120 FPS gaming test before as well. But right now with the Realme X7 Max, there's one weird thing is going on, friends. Right now I was unable to play the games more than 60 FPS in this Realme X7 Max. So that is the reason I need to use a third-party FPS meter. I'll try to use and I'll try to compare both phones. So same FPS meter I'll try to use in both phones, and let's see which phone will be able to have higher FPS. That is what I'm going to do in this kind of entire test. And one more quick note, some people they did mention that if you try to factory reset the Realme X7 Max, the lock for the 60 FPS will be unlocked and now you can actually play with the 90 and 120 FPS. So I did not try that kind of factory resetting, but maybe in case if you want to try, you can try that. But in my unit right now, I was unable to play the 60 FPS gameplay. So I did select this kind of 3 applications, friends. As you can see, 1 application and 2 games I was selected during this process of testing. So first, let me try to show you what is happening in both phones. Let me try to quickly show you the first display settings, what type of refresh rate I'm trying to use right now. In both phones, I did select the 120 Hz refresh rate only. As you can clearly see, friends, 120 Hz is turned on in both phones. So first, let me need to open this application, which is a Screen Test Pro. So in this application, there is a feature which is called where you can actually test the higher refresh rate displays, as you can see, friends, clearly. So right now you can see clearly which is the 30 Hz. So now you'll be able to get the 30 FPS refresh rate. If I try to change to the 60 Hz, you will get the 60 Hz refresh rate. So now let's use the third-party FPS meter. I'll try to use a third-party FPS meter to see whether the frame rates I'm getting correct or not. Then I'll try to use in the Realme X7 Max. As you can see, friends, right now I am using third-party FPS meter. Clearly on the top you can clearly see that now I am getting 10 FPS. So because right now the 10 Hz touch sampling rate I have selected, as you can see, let me try to select the 60. Now the FPS count will increase up to 60, as you can see, friends, clearly. So now let's see, let me try to increase to 90. As you can see, friends, the real-time FPS which is showing 89 and 91, which is perfect in this iQOO 7 device, as you can see clearly, which is working fantastic. And now let me try to use 120 FPS. As you can see, friends, clearly, which in this iQOO 7 device you can actually play the games 120 Hz without any problem. The only thing is that the game should be always supported with the 120 FPS. As you can see, friends, so which is perfectly done in this iQOO 7 smartphone. So let me try to open a couple of other games to show you the demonstration. So it is the standoff 2 game which I'm trying to use right now. The game also supports the 120 FPS without any problem, and there is a inbuilt FPS meter inside the game as well. So this is a really good comparison I can do with the Realme X7 Max as well. So first, let me try to do the complete testing in this phone, and then next I'll try to move to the Realme X7 Max. So then we'll be able to test the differences. So let me try to start the match, and then let's see, friends. Right now on the top you can clearly see I'm getting the 120 FPS. As you can see, friends, on the top. So here I'm getting 120 FPS without any problem in this iQOO 7 device. So I do know, as I said, I am using this phone for the past 35 days and I did multiple videos on the 120 FPS gaming, and which I did know that phone will be able to support without any problem, and it's actually supporting without any issues in my unit. The only problem with the Realme X7 Max is that I was unable to get more than 60 FPS in this Realme X7 Max. And I think there's some kind of software issue is going on in the Realme X7 Max, which is not that consistent in terms of showing the high FPS. As you can see, right now on the top of the notification, you can clearly see I'm getting 119 FPS at this point, which is really good. As you can see, friends, you can play actually 120 FPS without any problem in this iQOO 7 device at this point. It should not be that much issues as well. As you can see, friends, right now 120 FPS without any problem. So overall, in the 2 testings, the iQOO 7 did pass, and the final game which I'm going to test is the Getaway 2. So this is another game which actually supports the 120 FPS without any problem. Even in the POCO X3 and a lot of other mid-range segment as well, I was able to play the 120 FPS. And you can clearly see, friends, right now I'm getting on the top of the node here. So with the 120 FPS while gaming, as you can see clearly. So in the iQOO 7 device, which is perfectly working fine without any kind of issues, as you can clearly see, friends. So in the iQOO 7 device, using the 3 applications and complete testing, so only thing is that the games and applications should be supported with the 120 FPS. Only then you will be able to enjoy this kind of freedom in this phone. But let's check in the Realme X7 Max what is happening in this phone particularly. So let's test the first application, which is a Screen Test Pro. Let's see, let me try to use eye refresh rate. So this is a test which will determine how much FPS I'm trying to get right now on the top. You can see, friends, clearly I'm getting 30 FPS without any problem. So that should not be any issue. Let me try to decrease to 5. Let's see what I'm getting. As you can see, the FPS meter is working 100% perfect. Absolutely correct. There is no problem with the FPS meter at all during this time of testing, as you can see, friends. So now let me try to make it 10. You should be able to see 10 FPS, as you can see. So in the Realme X7 Max, as you can see, friends, this is a Realme X7 Max which I'm trying to use. So let me try to change to 60. So even I'm getting the FPS meter 60 as well without any problem. Let's change to 90. As you can see, 89 I'm getting. But right now I'm getting 60, as you can see, friends, clearly. So 90 Hz is there, but I'm getting 60 FPS. The third party FPS meter is detecting only 60 FPS. So I think there's some kind of software issue is going on in this Realme X7 Max. So where the 60 FPS is completely locked, I think so. So I'm going to use the 120. So right now you're getting 120 FPS, but immediately after some time you'll try to decrease to 60. As you can clearly see, friends, the live proof which you got right now in front of the camera. As you can see, you are getting 89 FPS and 63. Immediately it decreased. So all the high refresh rate is not maintaining in the Realme X7 Max. That is the one biggest problem which is happening in this phone. Now let's check the next game, which is a Standoff 2. So this is another game which I'm trying to check, friends. On the top of notification panel, you can clearly see that it's showing not much more than, I think, let me try to, once the game starts, we can actually discuss. There will be inbuilt FPS meter as well, even in the Standoff 2 game. So let's see, friends. So clearly you did see the live proof what has happened in this phone particularly. I did select to the 120 FPS, friends, without any problem, as you can see. So 120 FPS. So everything is set to the maximum only. Even I'm trying to find out what's the solution for this kind of Realme X7 Max, why it's happening. Maybe if the factory resetting works for any kind of users, so make sure to comment below. So maybe I will try to reset my phone and I'll try to check again. If possible, maybe tomorrow I can do that. So in case if it is working. If it is not working, there is no point in doing. But right now, as you can see, friends, I'm getting about 61 and 60 FPS throughout this time, as you can see clearly. So only 60 FPS I'm getting at this point, nothing much more than that, as you can see, friends, clearly. So now let's move to the third game, which is the Getaway 2, and let's see what will happen in the third game, which is very basic game, simple game. As you can see, friends, on the top of notification panel, you can see only 60 FPS. So this is using the third party FPS meter, and even with the default FPS meter as well, these are the settings we are getting, as you can see, friends, exactly 60 FPS only you are getting with, even with using the default FPS meter. So friends, it's completely a kind of a disaster, I think so, for the Realme X7 Max users who bought this phone for the gaming purpose. And if you get the high refresh rate, that's completely fine, and if you don't get the high refresh rate while gaming, that's totally disappointing for the gaming users, friends, who bought this phone for the less price, thinking that phone will be able to perform really great. But the software optimization is the one which is stopping the phone to be perfect in this Realme X7 Max. Even with the recent plenty of bugs and plenty of issues is going on in the Realme X7 Max, particularly this mobile phone. So that's it, friends. Thank you for watching this video, and overall we got a clarity that even iQOO 7 was able to play perfectly alright 120 FPS without any problem, but Realme X7 Max doesn't able to play. And make sure to comment below, friends, what are your thoughts in case if you have the Realme X7 Max, and if you can actually play with the 120 FPS, do let me know how you got the 120 FPS. Did you factory reset or not? And see you in the next video, friends. Until then, stay tuned for more updates. Bye.